When you hear words like money, wealth, getting rich, they stir up a lot, right? And a lot of the time, it's just frustration. But what if the way we're all taught to think about it is completely fundamentally wrong? Let's dive in and really uncover a different way to build wealth, a path that you can start from nothing.
Just take a second and look at this number. That's $117 billion. That's what Jeff Bezos was worth at one point. I mean, that's a number so big your brain can't even really wrap itself around what it means. And then there's us. You're probably grinding away at a job, right? Maybe you've got that student debt just hanging over your head. You see the cost of everything going up, and you just feel underpaid. Wealth like that, it feels like it's on another planet.
So when you see that massive gap, it's so easy to feel like you're fighting a battle you can't possibly win. You look at the ultra-rich, and it's just baffling. Honestly, it can even make you a little angry. And so what do? We start telling ourselves a story, right? Oh, they just got lucky, or they were born into it, or maybe they cheated the system. And you land on this really tough conclusion that the whole game is rigged and you're stuck on the losing team. But hold on. What if that whole story, that whole feeling, is just wrong? What if there's an actual formula for building wealth, one that most of us are just never, ever shown?
Okay, so the very first thing we have to do, we've got to tear down the myths we've all been sold. The ideas we have about money, the ones we get from movies and the news, they're actually the biggest thing holding you back.
Check this out. A report from WealthX looked at the super rich. We're talking people with over 30 million bucks. And what they found is kind of shocking. A massive 68% of them are totally self-made. Only a tiny 12% got their money purely from inheritance.
And listen, this isn't just some dry statistic on a chart. These are people you know. Oprah Winfrey, who was born into poverty. Howard Schultz from Starbucks, who literally grew up in public housing. Jeff Bezos, Sarah Blakely, Elon Musk. All of them came from backgrounds that were a million miles from privileged.
So here's the absolute key takeaway. It's not about luck. And most of the time, it's not about inheritance. The real reason they got there, and most of us don't, is because they're playing a completely different game, using a completely different formula for wealth. So what is this broken formula that we're all stuck in? Well, it's the one we've been taught since we were kids. Go to school, get a good education, so you can get a good job. The problem is, that whole model traps you in a system that makes creating real wealth almost impossible. So why do I call it a trap? Because in any normal job, you are trading away the one thing you can never ever get back. The most valuable resource you will ever have, your time. Once an hour is gone, it's gone forever. All right, let's do some quick back-of-the-napkin math here. Let's say you've got a decent job, making 20 bucks an hour, 40 hours a week. How long do you think it would take you to make $1 million?
Are you ready for this? It would take you almost 24 years. And get this, that's before a single penny comes out for taxes, for rent, for food, for your car, for anything. And it doesn't even count inflation making that $1 million worth less and less every year.
Think about that. You trade a quarter of a century of your life, your most precious asset. And for what? It's not even for a life-changing amount of money. The whole system, this time for money trade, is fundamentally broken if you want to build real wealth.
Okay, so if that's the wrong way, what's the right way? Well, the people who make it from scratch, they operate on a totally different system. It's a massive mental shift away from just chasing a bigger paycheck.
And here it is. This is the big secret, the core idea, and it's going to sound a little backward at first. You have to stop chasing money. Instead, you have to start chasing solutions to problems.
So how does that actually work? It really boils down to 3 steps. Number 1, you find a problem. You listen to what people are complaining about. Number 2, you build a solution that is scalable. And number 3, you create systems so it can run without you.
And that second point, scalability, is absolutely everything. Let's make it super clear with an example. A yoga teacher who charges by the hour, they've just created another job. Their income is totally capped by the number of hours in a day. But an online yoga course they record one time, that course can be sold to thousands of people all over the world, 24/7, without the teacher doing anything. That is scalable.
Okay, so now we have the how, but we need to talk about the why. Because if you actually succeed at this, if you build that scalable solution, you've got to ask yourself a much bigger question.
I mean, really think about it. What was all that effort for?
Why did you want all that money in the first place? It was never really about the paper itself, was it?
It all comes down to one simple, powerful word: freedom. That's what you were really after the entire time.
And what does freedom actually look like? I mean, what does it feel like? It feels like paying off your mortgage. It feels like taking that trip without having to ask a boss for permission. It's about not having that knot in your stomach when the bills come. It is the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. It's about owning your time again.
And that's the real truth here. The money, it's just a vehicle. It's a tool. The real prize, the actual goal of this whole journey is to own your own life, to own your time.
So let's bring it all home, right back to that core idea that changes everything. It's not about the frantic chase for money. It's about finding a problem people have and pouring your energy into solving it. If you can do that, the wealth, and way more importantly, the freedom will follow. So the only real question left for you is, what problem are you going to solve?